told you that most new clients who sit in your chair are never going to come back to you? And it's not because they didn't like you or because they didn't like their hair. Most of the time, it's because most hairstylists never follow up with them. I remember the first time the owner of the salon told me that I needed to call a new client that I had done. It was like 2 days later and said, you need to call them back and see how they liked their hair. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was terrified. I thought, what if she didn't like her hair? What if she complained? I mean, what would I even say to her? Do you know what, you guys? That one phone call, it ended up teaching me one of the most powerful lessons of my whole career. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you the follow-up system that will turn first-time clients into loyal clients.
Do you want a full chair with a steady flow of clients and more confidence behind the chair, but you struggle with slow books, inconsistent income, and feeling stuck or discouraged? If so, my friend, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Sherri Brodie, hairstylist, educator, and mentor behind the chair. After rebuilding my business multiple times, I've learned how to own my chair like a business, creating clarity, confidence, and consistency without the feeling of burnout. So grab your shears, step behind the chair with me, and let's build that business you've been dreaming of.
Before we dive into today's episode, I want to quickly invite you to join my On Point Pro Tips. Each week, I send out a short email where I share encouragement and real lessons that I've learned over the years behind the chair to help hairstylists build loyal clients and create more financial freedom doing what they love. If you'd like to receive those, just head over to onpointhairbySherri, SHERRI.com/pro tips and sign up. I'll also put the link in the show notes below. All right, let's jump into today's episode. I was probably about, maybe 19 years old, and it was my first experience working in a nice high-end hair salon where I was being trained by two men that were just very successful in the industry. And here I was sitting at the front desk with the phone in my hand, and I was told I needed to call a few of my clients that were new clients. I needed to call them back, and I needed to ask them how they liked their hair. And, honestly, the thought of calling them terrified me because in my brain, it just went immediately to the negative, of course. Like, what if they didn't like their hair? And what am I going to say if they don't? And I'm sure you as a hairstylist can relate to that. We tend to go to that negative aspect before we go to the positive, because let's flip it. Like, what if I called and she loved it? Oh my gosh, but that didn't cross my mind. This particular client, when I did call her back, I was praying, guys, that her voicemail would pick up, but it didn't. She picked it up. So I just, I was kind of nervous at first, but I got it out. I told her, who I was. And I said, I just wanted to call and see how you liked your hair. And there was a pause for a moment. And then she said, you know what, Sherri? She said, I really enjoyed you as a person. And then I knew in my head, I'm like, great. She hated it. Here it comes. And she started sharing with me that her hair wasn't styling quite right. And so, once she just kind of, I broke the ice and I called, and then she just kind of started talking to me, then it was easy for me because I said, oh, well, tell me what your problem is, And as I was talking to her, I realized that I probably needed to cut a little bit more off. And so I asked her if she would come in and let me, make a few adjustments on her haircut and share with her some styling tips that I think will help her. And you guys, she agreed. And she came back in and I made the adjustments, and she ended up being a longtime client of mine. Now, I share this story with you guys because I think as hairstylists, sometimes we forget that, when a new client comes and sits in our chair, we may be focusing on giving them a great experience and making sure that we give them a great service. But after we say goodbye, we just tend to forget about them and just cross our fingers that they're going to come back in. But it's not usually the case, guys. So in this episode, I want to share with you 3 things that you can do. And I'm telling you this from my experience. And my experience isn't just about what I did personally. This experience comes from my experience of working in a few very high-end hair salons that used this exact system. And it's the reason why they have a high return rate on their new clients. So the first one is, of course, after you do a new client, is to follow up 2 to 3 days later. We call these second day callbacks. And just like in the situation that I had, I called and I was able to get this client back in. And in essence, she became a loyal client. She became happy, and she wouldn't have come back into the salon, guys, if I had not taken the time to call her back. Because truthfully, if somebody's not 100% satisfied with their service with you, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to look for somebody else. They might give you another opportunity just because maybe, like in the previous episode, I shared with you the 3 R's, and that is, asking for those referrals, asking to rebook, and asking for reviews. So maybe this one of a client that she did rebook with you. So she's going to give you another opportunity. And that's great. But in this world right now that we're in, even back then, there is a hairstylist on every corner, guys. And we need to remember that these clients, when they come and sit in your chair, you not only want to give them the best experience possible that you're capable of giving, but you want to do everything in your power to make sure that they will give you another opportunity and that they become a long-time client. So it doesn't just end at the end of your service. You've got to follow up. And so many times I was afraid, and I'm sure you are too. And texting just seems to be the thing right now. Back then, when I first learned to do this, texting wasn't an option. So I didn't have an option to text her. But guys, I'm glad I didn't. Because even today, I don't text. When I want to call somebody back and ask them how they liked my service, I want to call them personally. Because I want to hear their tone of their voice. I want to have a conversation with them. And in texting, that intimate, that person, that building that relationship with your client, it's kind of lost. And I know, I'm not sure where you're at in your life, but I know some of the younger generation, the new and upcoming, that's the way you communicate. And if that's what you choose to do, that's your choice. It's still a touch point to them. But I'm going to tell you right now that going that extra mile and actually picking up the phone and overcoming that uncomfortableness and that fear of rejection, it changes the whole game. It makes you look that much more professional in their eyes. And it gives you the opportunity to have the conversation, because sometimes in a text, let's face it, they could say, oh yeah, everything's great, but it's really not. And even in a phone conversation, you can hear that in a voice if they're telling you everything's great, but you can kind of tell by the inflection of their voice or how they're saying it if they're really sincere. And when you're listening to them and you think maybe somebody's not, then you just delve in with a few more questions. How did you like that product that I made? Have you tried it yet that we used? Or have you tried the styling technique that I shared with you? Have a little bit of a conversation with them. And then you want to make sure that also I wanted to follow up too with that, is that if they say they're happy with it, if they didn't pre-book with you, then make sure you have notes ahead of time before you start speaking with them. Have some notes in front of you about your conversation with them. You might say something like, well, I really enjoyed having you come sit in my chair. I'm so happy that you're happy with your hair. And I see that, I know I shared with you at your appointment, but in order to maintain your haircut, it would put you in, you want to do it about every 5 weeks. And as I said on your service, this would be the day. Would you like to schedule that now? Just so that it's on your books, just giving them another opportunity. And also like mentioning something about, that's always good. Another personal touch is to just ask them like, I hope your child is feeling better. I know they weren't feeling good when we spoke. Make it, something personal that you spoke with them about so they know that you truly care. Make it personable. Guys, I know that this is an uncomfortable thing, but I've always said that like successful hairstylists, they do what unsuccessful hairstylists don't do. And fear is one of those biggest things that hold us back from succeeding. We're afraid in this instance of being rejected. And that's a normal fear. But if we sit in that fear and we just stay in a safe place, then it's going to take you a lot longer to build your clientele and also to be respected by your clients as well. I also want to deal with, the client that is unhappy, that let's say you ask them to come back in and you want to correct it and they just refuse to. And that's okay, guys. Sometimes that is going to happen and it's not fun. And at this point, sometimes you're going to have to offer a refund. That doesn't happen very much. That's more of a last resort. But if I have a client that is very unhappy with a service that was done by me, or, when I owned my salon, by a stylist in the salon, and there was nothing I could do to get them to come back in. If I knew that there was something that did happen during the service that the client is justified with it, I'm going to offer them a refund. And I do this just because I don't want somebody negative out there speaking negatively about me and my business. Because the truth is, guys, if a client's going to talk more, they're going to tell 4 or 5 people about a bad experience. Whereas if it's a good experience, they're going to tell 1 to 2. I mean, it's just human nature. So a refund is definitely a last resort. If I feel like maybe I might be able to sacrifice this relationship, then I'm going to follow up with a personal letter and send a gift card in the mail to them. Or if you don't have gift cards, you can kind of, write it out on the card and invite them back in for a complimentary haircut, just to give you another opportunity. It just shows the client that you heard them, that you understand they don't want to come back in, but you'd really like the opportunity to do their hair again. There's always that one client that no matter what, guys, you can't make them happy. And if you did 100% on them and you did everything you could and they still don't want to, then you just kind of leave it at that. Because if you know that there was nothing that you actually did, that this is just a person that's not happy at all, you got to determine that, then you have to let it go. But those are very rare. Also, when you do leave a voicemail, make sure that in that voicemail that you're saying who you are, you're thanking them for giving you the opportunity to do their hair, that it's really important to you that they were happy with the service. And you would love it if they are not happy with the service or if something is off, to please give you a call. And, just that's pretty much it. And then I usually will call them again in another day or 2 and see if I can catch them. But always make sure that you leave a nice voicemail and say something personal about your visit with them. I also do a callback too if I get a referral from them. There was a story that I read in a book by Anthony Whitaker. He has some really great books on how to build a clientele. And there was a story in there that really stood out to me and it really made sense. And I'm hoping that it'll help you as well. There was a guy in a salon. His name was Sam, and he was very successful as far as getting new clients to return back to him and sending him referrals. And the receptionist, noticed this and was like, what inspires you to call a client back and thank him for the referral or thank him for coming in? And he was just like, his response was, if you had a client send you a check for $1,000, would you just take it for granted or would you pick up the phone and personally thank them? And she kind of looked at him like, what are you, nuts? But in his mind, in Sam's mind, he's like, this client either referred me another client or this client is a potential client that could make me about $1,000 in 1 year. If you add up the amount of times they'll come to visit and the types of services that they're getting done, that's not a whole lot to reach nowadays is $1,000. So in Sam's mind, everybody that referred him and gave him the opportunity to do their hair, it's like they're giving him $1,000 check. And that's, I think, how we need to think about it too, instead of just thinking about it as that one time. And when we're sitting in that fear, we need to change our mindset and think about our chair as our business, and we're in control of it. And this guy, Sam, I mean, he wasn't just thinking of it as that one-time client. He was looking at it as the amount of money that was coming in too, and the potential from that client. And he appreciated that. And he knew that he wanted referrals, that was like the easiest way to grow his business. So I hope that resonates with you a little bit. You know, this is just doing something out of the ordinary, guys, to stay front and center of the client that was just in your chair, for them to remember you and have you stand out. The second one is to send a personal handwritten thank you note. Snail mail. I mean, guys, when was the last time you actually sat down and wrote a card to somebody? I don't know about you, but I love getting cards in the mail. I have this friend. She is my heart friend, and I just love her dearly. And she is like so thoughtful. You know, some days I don't remember how long ago it was, but she'll send me little notes or little cards along the way through the year. We don't live near each other any longer. And she'll just send a card because it made her think of me. And it means the world to me when she does that, because it's almost like she's reaching across the miles and giving me a hug. You know, it's the same at Christmas. You know, I love getting Christmas cards in the mail. I know a lot of people just send an email now, but I personally love to open up cards that people have written. It's just like a part of them is there. And the same thing is for going, again, here, the extra mile to stay front and center, is to make sure you sit down after your client has left. I usually will do this at the end of my day. If I don't have time that day and I'm exhausted, then I'll do it on my first day off. But I make sure that I have at my station, you know, thank you cards and the client's names on them so that I remember to do it. But when you're sending them a card, there's some things that I want to recommend that you put in the card to make it beneficial as well. And first, you're just writing them, you're thanking them, simply thanking them for coming in and how much you appreciate their business. You want to include in there 3 of your business cards. And these are cards that you want to say in your thanking them. You want to say, if you were happy with your service, I would really love it if you would take the time. I've included 3 business cards in here. I would love it if you'd write your name on the back. If you know somebody that would really benefit from my services, would you kindly give them a card? And then tell them, if all 3 come back in before your next appointment date and you put the date in there, then I'm going to give you another free haircut because I really appreciate the referrals. I mean, you want to offer it a reward for them, because I think that that's really important. I think people, when they take the time to refer you business, it's gold. And you want to appreciate them. And for me, giving them a haircut, that's nothing. They've given me a gift of free new clients. Remember that when I was sharing with you the $1,000 check? Each client that sits in your chair is an opportunity to get another $1,000 in your checking account. You have to remember that. So remind them about the referral program. And then also, you want to mention somebody in there. Also, if you were, enjoyed your service, would you be kind enough to leave a review? On my business cards, I actually have a scan code where they can scan it and they can head over there, and they can just put their phone there and write a review. But you can also tell them, just go to Google, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd write a, review for me. And then you want to also, again, if they did rebook, remind them of their next appointment time. If they didn't, again, remind them of how long they need to maintain their haircut, and when a good date is for them to rebook. It's that simple, guys. Just taking the time to sit down. Yes, I know it takes time. It does take time. And when you're building your business, it's so worth it, you guys, because you're going to build so much faster, and you're going to build not only faster, but you're going to build your business on clients you enjoy doing, because the clients that refer you, they already love and respect you and they like your work. So then the clients that they refer, their friends, they're already coming in and trusting you. So the hard part of like a blind date type atmosphere, that's already gone because they had a friend or a family member that already loves you. So you want to get your clients to just keep you front and center. You want to remind them about the referrals. Clients are not going to remember, guys. They're just not. You have to ask them. You have to be bold. I remember when I was first building, I thought, well, this is uncomfortable. Asking them for a review or asking for them for a referral. But guys, that chair, I'll tell you time and time again, like, it doesn't matter what type of salon you're in. That chair's your business. And if you sit behind uncomfortableness and being shy and being afraid, then you're going to be looking at an empty chair for a long time. You're going to have gaps in your books for a long time. But if you want to build it and you want to build it quickly, then you're going to have to overcome fear. Step over it, sister. Don't sit there. Don't let the lies keep you from getting uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to. If you want to grow, you got to do the uncomfortable things. I'm sitting here and it's been years since I've had to go through and do this, because now I just have so many reviews online. I haven't had to advertise in years because the reviews are doing it for me. And that's what I want for you. All right. Now, this last thing that I want to share with you, well, we're getting uncomfortable again. I'm going to ask you to make your clients fill out a client evaluation form. You want to know, are you giving your clients a wow experience? I mean, an experience for them to talk about and to remember you by. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. I know for me, and in some salons that I worked in and in my salon, I would have a pre-stamped postcard with the questionnaire on it, and the receptionist up front would hand this to the client and say, would you please fill this out and send this back to us? And on there had questions for the client to rate their experience in the salon. Another way that I find the easiest nowadays is to fill out a fillable Google Doc form that you can have, and you just send the link in an email asking your client if they would kindly fill this out. You basically want to let them know, I really value your opinion. I really would like to know if you'd fill this out. I'm trying to better my services behind the chair. I really want to give 5-star worthy rated service. And if you'd be kind enough to answer these questions for me, I would just so appreciate it. Sometimes you can offer, them a little something, if you do, screenshot it for me, let me know. You could have complimentary travel size product or something like that. But most of the time, guys, you don't have to offer them anything. You're just simply asking. It's a normal thing these days. But some examples that you could ask on the questionnaire are, did I live up to your expectations? And then you can list on there as far as the quality of service, your experience in the salon. Was everything clean and tidy? How did you feel about how were you greeted? How would you could have a rating system, 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, and have a rating system that they could fill out. So it's super simple. You just have to sit there and think about what I like to think of them as the moments of truth of your business. So you want to think about any part of your business that your client comes in contact with. For instance, how are they greeted? What is the atmosphere like? What are the smells like? Their touch, like that could be the shampoo. Did you feel like you had how would you rate your shampoo? Do you feel like you understand truly how to style your hair? Did I, educate you properly? Visually, just like I just said about, the station. Did you feel like it was cluttered or, you want to give your things that are important to you. There I said, I try not to say, but sometimes I just say, when I'm thinking. I've got to quit doing that. Start putting together a list of moments of truth. The things that you value in your business that you want your clients to experience. What are top notch? Like for me, I feel like my drawers, my station, everything needs to be organized. Everything's clean. My client is greeted with a smile, eye contact. Every client, when it comes in, I sit, I get eye level with them so they feel comfortable. I usually touch them somewhere, whether it be their shoulder or whatever, with direct eye contact, letting them know I'm happy they're there. They're always getting there I did it again, asking them, make sure I'm doing a good consultation with them. Their shampoo, is just I want to hear them say that felt so good, that their hair was styled to the way they liked. Those are just a few things that are important to me. You need to come up with your own moments of truth for your business. If you haven't done that, I really highly encourage you to do that. There was a story that was told to me a while back. There was a gal, this guy was at a party and he was talking to this gal, and he noticed this one gal walking in and looking all over, and all of a sudden she's zoned in like on their conversation or, on them as people. And so she wove herself through the crowd and she tapped the gal on the shoulder that he was talking to, and she turned around, and for that moment he witnessed this giddiness. The gal that he was talking to was like, oh my gosh, you finally did it. You cut your hair. It looks so good. And the gal was like, I know, it doesn't look great. She turned it around, showed her the haircut, and she just was on cloud nine. She was so excited and she couldn't wait to tell her friend. And she said, my mom was like, couldn't believe I finally did it. And she, so many of my family was like, telling me it was going to look awful, but they all love it. And I'm so excited. And so then comes the question, well, who did it? Well, that client sat there and thought for a minute. She goes, well, it's the guy works in this one salon. It's like up the street, kind of you have to go up these stairs. And the gal goes, you don't even remember his name? And she's like, no, let me think. What was the name of the salon? Guys, I'm telling you this story because that happens probably more than you think. You probably have had somebody that you did a fabulous makeover on, but you didn't follow up. You didn't follow up with them and make sure that your name was front and center. Or you didn't ask for, give them cards with your name on it. I don't know how many times I see hairstylists let their client go and they don't have a card, at least with their name on it. Nowadays, it's so easy. You can get a little scan code and tap their phone with it, and there you are, right there in their contacts. Super easy. There was a gal in a salon that I worked at, where I'm almost done here, guys, wrapping it up, but her name just came to my mind. She just always comes to my mind whenever I think about when I'm talking about this type of stuff. Her name was Elizabeth. And I worked in a salon that was just like, it was the salon for people to go to. And this gal, she was always busy. I know in another episode, I probably mentioned it before, but like she had the highest retention rate of anybody in there. And when I think about what I'm sharing with you in this episode and in the last episode, she did all of them. She wasn't afraid to ask for those referrals. She wasn't afraid to call them back the next day and talk to them. And sometimes I would just sit there next to the phone while she was talking to him. And she just talked with a very calm voice. She had an accent too that was so beautiful. But she rarely let anybody go that they weren't happy. She'd get him right back in. And the thing about it was, she'd stay late for him. She'd come in early for him. She did all the things And she was somebody that I still remember. And it's been 30 years since I worked with her. And I remember her because she did all the things that successful hairstylists do. And she's one of those reasons why I do the same things. So guys, you want to be a successful stylist, do the things that other stylists avoid because they're scared and uncomfortable. Guys, successful stylists it's not because they're the most talented. It's because they're the most consistent. Client loyalty, it's not accidental. It's built through small systems repeated over time. It's built through small systems repeated over time. And if you want a loyal clientele, you have to give them a reason to remember you. Guys, that wraps it up for this episode. I always say this, but guys, I just hope so bad that when you leave this episode, that you just don't leave it and not do anything. If you need to go back through it and write some notes, do it. And I want to encourage you, do something that freaks you out, that scares the poo out of you. Like for me, it was the second day callback. Do it. Do it, and I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear it by you either, sending me an email, letting me know. It's in the show notes below. Or join my free Facebook group, guys. The link is in the show notes below. I am building this. I'm trying to get it going. I want to have these conversations with you. I want to go deeper with you. I want to help you build that clientele that you're dreaming of. So, hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. And I will see you in the next episode. Happy haircutting.
Hey, friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If it helped you, I'd love for you to hit subscribe and leave a quick review and share what stood out most for you today. When you leave a review, it helps other stylists find this show. And hey, if you want to hang out with me more and learn alongside other like-minded stylists who are working on building their clientele as well, I have a free Facebook group I just started. You'll find the link in the show notes below. I'd love to have you there and hang out with you. I'll be back next week. Until then, happy haircutting, and remember, your chair is your business, so own it like a pro.